What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Horror Show Podcast. I'm Cecil Laird.
I'm Brittini Lee.
I'm Ian Fuego here.
And we are back for another week of horror talk. And this week, it is all about sharks.
God, they scare the crap out of me.
That's right. It is the thing that got me into horror. It is the thing that scared the crap out of Fuego and I for sure, and Brittany at least a little bit. So that's what this is going to be entirely about, you guys. What did we think of a lot of shark movies, and why do we think sharks are so scary? And, you know, perhaps looking forward to some shark movies coming out in the very near future. So
we have lots to talk about, actually.
It's a very shark-tastic podcast. We can even touch on Shark Week, which we get every week, which has moved from August to now. Basically, it's in July at this point. So I
That's
think
on Nat Geo, right?
we should get into it. Yeah. So the first shark movie that I ever was exposed to was Jaws 2. I've talked about it a number of times. It was the first horror movie I remember seeing when I walked into my parents' room and saw it on the television when Chief Brody was killing the second shark at the very end. And they fascinated me ever since. So I watched Shark Week every single week. I watched any other documentary, any other time of the year. I had a big great white shark poster, which I actually still have framed up in the house. I absolutely love sharks, and I've both loved and loathed sharks ever since, because I love them as entertainment value, but they prevent me from going in any water that I cannot see the bottom of.
Amen.
I will go into the ocean, but only up to my waist, even though the majority of attacks happen in waist-deep water.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't really help, although in my own brain I justify it by saying I am more keenly aware than most people, and I'm always looking to my left and my right, so if anything starts to glide towards me, I can at least throw a punch or two before it gets at me.
Yeah, if you're in like 5 feet of water, though, I mean.
I would never get in 5 feet of water. That's only enough room for my head to stick above. No, I mean waist. 3 feet max. That is literally as far as I'm going to go, because I don't know. No, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. I'll enjoy the ocean from the beach.
No
I'm
way.
so with you, man.
You wouldn't go out and swim in the
God,
ocean?
no.
No,
no,
what
no,
if there was
no,
a net?
no.
Do you know how they would put those shark nets in South Africa?
Oh my
because
God.
there's
They
so
have
many
the-
sharks that were
No, I
killing
wouldn't
people.
go in South Africa no matter what. I don't believe in those nets.
Guys,
But
They do
I've
the same thing in Australia,
I've
too.
totally gone and swam in the ocean.
well, I've swam in the
depends where
ocean
you're
too,
swimming,
but
though.
just not
Well,
in a
yeah, off the
limited
coast of
distance.
California,
And
yeah.
I'm a scuba diver,
So
so
in California.
I went off of the coast of San Carlos, Mexico, and I did my open water certification off of one of the Seal Islands over there. So I have done it. So I do enjoy scuba diving. So that in itself keeps me from ever not going back in. But I won't swim at the surface. Scuba diving's okay because I get in the water and I swim directly down to the bottom.
Well, yeah, prey floats up above.
Prey
them,
floats,
and
exactly.
so,
They don't
yeah.
hunt on the sea floor as often as they do on the surface,
Yeah.
because they're ambush animals. So their
Especially
favorite
great
mode
whites
of attack is from below. So if there's something thrashing on the surface, or even if something's just swimming along, the great white, and they're even colored to utilize this as camouflage. They're dark on top because any fish above it looks down and they blend in with the blackness. Any fish below it looks up and the white belly blends in with the light above. So they're perfectly camouflaged killers. And what they attempt to do is stay below. When they see something they want to kill, they get below, utilize that dark camouflage, and then they come up from underneath. And there are many documentaries, Air Jaws, over the last 4 or 5 years on the Discovery Channel is all about their ambush techniques. And one of these specials, they actually put a camera face down on a seal decoy, and you saw an attack from below, exactly what great white sharks like to do. And what was so awesome is the camera was facing down, and the time from which you saw the great white shark enter the picture or enter the line of sight coming from straight darkness to the time that it actually hits the seal is less than 1 second.
Yeah, I've seen the same video, man.
They appear and it's just wham, you're done. And it's like that's what they do. They hit you with the speed of a semi-truck. They take a big gouging bite out of you, and then they let you bleed out while they swim around and wait for you to die so they can gorge on you. It is an absolutely frightening circumstance, and it is why the ocean is my number one fear. Being stranded in the ocean is my absolute number one fear. So much so that open water scared the crap out of me and pissed me off, because at the very end she like gives up and just slips beneath the surface to get eaten by sharks, and it was the most ridiculous thing because that would never happen. But everything up until then was absolutely frightening. Being stuck out there with nothing to do but tread water while things start to pick at you, and you don't know what size. And I've read too many Meg books to imagine that there's not a giant creature below. And here's the thing. It could be out there, and it could come up and swallow me whole, and you know what? No one would ever know. I would not be able to provide evidence of this creature. I would just get swallowed by the inky blackness, and it
become a part
terrifies
of the food chain.
me. And no, that terrifies me. And I've had recurring nightmares. I've had 3 recurring horror nightmares. 1 was Freddy, 2 was Jaws, and another, it'll occur to me in a little bit, but I'm not going to hang myself up on it, because Jaws always scared me. And specifically, I had a couple of recurring dreams with Jaws, where I was on, I was stuck out in the water, and I had to swim to an island in a Jaws the Revenge type atmosphere, where it was blue water and White Beach Island.
Underrated.
And there's
Jaws.
a shark in between me and the island, and I had to get there. Very much like The Shallows, now that I think about it, which we'll get to all that. But the other one is I'm actually trapped in a flooded jail cell, where the jail is flooded and all the cell doors are open, but there's a shark swimming, and I'm like hiding and trying to avoid it and go into other jail cells and maybe trap it in one. Anyway, it always scared the crap out of me.
You see, now you have me thinking of an Australian shark film that you recommended to me called Bait.
Yeah, and we'll get to that as well.
We will as well.
So the other thing that I'm just going with my straight fears of why I'm afraid of sharks outside of the movies, because we'll get to the movies. But the other recurring fear I had, like I for some reason, I have thought in the past, like my friends and I have thought, like, what would be the worst way to die? And to me, what if you're out sailing or out cruising in your yacht, and you're like, okay, it's time, I'm going to go ahead and just take a dip in the water. And you get ready and you jump off and you dive, and a shark just comes up and you dive straight down his gullet. Like, I know it's completely implausible. It'll never happen.
I think any type of eating alive is horrible.
Well, yeah.
That's my worst fear.
But basically, you slide straight down and you get slowly digested and suffocated. And like it's a mixture of being eaten, claustrophobia, and suffocation, like all at once. And it's just one of the worst ways I could possibly think. And drowning, because water would flood its stomach, and it's to make it breathe with the gills.
I think you'd really drown first.
Yeah, I mean,
Thankfully.
I don't know
I
what
would
would happen.
So.
I think I might die of panic first. Quite frankly.
Yeah, that's probably
heart attack.
That's probably true. You die of
that was anyway. So
kind of heart attack.
Sharks have always scared the crap out of me. I took a cruise once in my life. It was my best vacation ever, except for when I was at night leaning over my balcony, thinking if I fell over right now, no one would ever know. The boat would never be able to turn around in time to A, save me from freezing, and B, save me from sharks, because they would be long gone, and my thrashing and my heartbeat from my fear alone would attract sharks. Because I wouldn't necessarily thrash around, but my heartbeat would be so because I'd be so scared. I would be essentially a gigantic distressed fish, so prey for the taking. And even if I just swam and swam and swam, like I wouldn't, it was so dark those nights that I wouldn't have known which way to go. And anyway, this is all goes to show why I have such adamant fears about sharks, because all of these things pop in my head when I start to think about it, and it freaks me the F out. Now,
and Jaws 2 is where it all started.
Jaws 2 is where it all started. Wow, that was a really long follow-up to that. But We'll get to that. So I want to get to Fuego third because I know
I was thinking so too because it might be similar.
Yeah, so Brittany might be a little bit have a little less to contribute on this podcast than we do because it's basically one of Fuego's in my absolute top fears. So much so that I absolutely loved watching Fuego watch The Shallows for the first time. That was fun for me. But Brittany, what are your thoughts on shark movies, the idea of them in general?
I'd have to say I remember parts of Jaws, and I don't know if that's because it was too scary or if maybe I only walked in on parts of it and never got back around to watching it.
The original you're talking about.
Yeah,
there were four.
Yeah, no, I know. The original and the second one, I think. I think those were the two.
Okay.
But like I said, I remember bits and pieces, like, you know, the one where he's like totally attacking the boat.
Oh, that was part one. Yeah.
Yeah.
When he falls on it and eats Quint.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember that.
Although that happened in a few of them.
And
Didn't happen in Revenge.
really
Didn't happen in, I mean...
Well, he attacked Sean at the beginning of Revenge, and then he attacked someone on a banana boat later in Revenge, and then he did
that was the girl, and that was the one that messed me up the most.
He did attack Mama Brody at the end when she's on Mike Brody's boat. Mike Brody and Mario Van Peebles'
and they,
boat.
Speared him with the...
No, that's at the very end, and that destroys the boat itself.
Yeah,
they spear him with the mast not the mast, but they spear him with the front.
I was trying to think of what it is called.
I don't know what it is either, but they spear him with the front, and the shark explodes.
Yeah,
it explodes from being lanced by a wooden freaking spear. Like there's no explanation for it. There's so much ridiculous about it, but I maintain that Jaws the Revenge is one of my absolute favorites because
I think it's a lot better than 3, dude.
I actually really like the theme and the music where when Ellen Brody is out swimming in the blue water and she gets attacked, but the music is dun, 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 and it's that weird like chimey like it's so it unnerves me to my core. I loved when Mike was down in the sub and they're collecting the shell or the snails, and the shark bumps up against it and the shark is massive and it's like, oh, and then and when Mario Van Peebles is down, he's like, oh, we got a big shark. Oh no, because that's Michael. He's like, we got a big shark down here, Jake. He's like, hey, how big? And then the shark like comes up to the surface chomping, and oh my god, I love this stuff.
Dude, it's the opening scene of that movie that just effed me up so much. Weren't they singing like a Christmas carol of some sort? And
it's Silent Night.
Ripped off, and then he gets pulled in the water, and it was horribly sad. It messed me up. I
think it's Silent Night anyway, but I know what you're talking about. It does. And he's screaming. He's like, help! Help!
Yeah. I asked these two to leave me out of this podcast, just so y'all know. So,
why? Just because we're gonna go back and forth?
Well, just because you asked me a question and I started answering it, and it triggered something for the two of you to discuss, I've been sitting here for I don't know how long. I just want anyone who's actually listening to this and thought, oh, maybe we're gonna actually hear an opinion from Brittany. I want y'all to know I tried. Okay,
go ahead, Brittany. Finish your thought as she takes a drink. Go ahead. What's your thought?
I was going to tell you my biggest experience with Jaws was riding the tour around Universal.
Which I never did.
Orlando?
No, not Orlando, in California.
Okay.
Because I grew up in Southern California.
Okay.
And
we
did that. We did that a lot, actually.
The Orlando one was apparently way cooler.
Well, Orlando has everything freaking cooler.
It's so bummer because I actually just saw a video running around Facebook. Like, remember Jaws Orlando? And like, it was a whole water ride that, like, in LA, the tour just goes through and the shark sort of attacks the side of the cars and that's it. But in Orlando, it was Jaws 2 the whole way. Like, the shark comes up and attacks the boat. And then it submerges, and then like it goes all the way through until the shark comes up with the electrical wire, and it's all like a burn, and it's like, and it like gets electrocuted really cool. At the very end. I'm like, where was all that in Universal LA?
Yeah, I know.
But
They just had where he comes up against the.
You see, first you see the guy and the fisherman.
Well, yeah, the fisherman, and then he gets attacked. Yeah, he gets attacked.
Blood bubbles,
and
right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The water
squirts.
Right?
The water squirts, exactly. Yep. Mm-hmm.
And then he comes up real close to the tram, and you're like,
and the tram goes on
onto the dock. Yeah, the dock.
It shimmies just a little bit,
breaks
so you like lean
and
towards
you're like,
the shark.
oh my gosh, you lean towards the shark.
As it comes up, and it's like,
well, then you keep going, and then the shark comes up.
Yeah.
There's 3 different encounters with the shark.
I'm so jealous. I never saw it.
Oh my gosh, we many times.
You never went to that on Universal?
So many times
I've actually never been to Universal Studios.
And it scared as a little kid. It scared the hell out of me every time, and I knew exactly what was going to happen. It still scared the hell out of me. Every
One
time.
of the first family videos I can ever remember was us, and I was literally little enough. I must have been 6 or 7, or maybe 8 or 9 actually, because it was. We went, and it was my dad had this massive camera, and he was filming us, but we were towards the front of the tram, and so when Jaws came up, he was already past us, and I remember hearing my own voice going, I didn't get to see him, and I whined. I was like, I didn't get to see him. I said it twice. I was so bummed, and the camera just, you saw it go away from us. And I was like, oh, but I went back and I saw it better, after that. And I love the hanging jaws that they had, and they still have actually to this day. But man, it's such a bummer that you never got to see either one, Fuego, because the LA one was garbage apparently compared to Orlando. No, they've shut down both. Yeah,
that's what I was saying.
They're gone from everything.
Yeah, it breaks my heart to hear it.
Oh gosh,
it's a bummer. But you know what? Who knows? If Meg does well, then maybe we'll get something. Universal isn't doing
some
Meg,
strange
right?
sort. What's that?
It's not Universal, is it? That's doing Meg?
That's a good question. I want to say Legendary, but I don't know offhand.
I think you might be right on Legendary. Okay, so Brittany, did you have anything else to say about that? You went on it when you were a kid?
Yeah, well, like I said, when I was a kid, yeah, it scared the hell out of me, and that was mostly the time that I encountered it, because I haven't been to Universal probably since I was a kid. So.
Okay.
But yeah, like I said, that scared the hell out of me. And then when you guys, pulled up that Shallows movie, that was reiteration
of why they freak you out.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
But I still go swimming in the ocean.
Well, let's start hitting some of these movies, because one other thing I wanted to hit
that crap scares me. Seriously, the one thing I didn't say is where if they're gonna put nets around beaches where they're so beautiful and people like to swim, but they need nets so people don't get attacked by the sea life, that just blows my mind.
Okay, I'm not gonna go swimming there.
That's some of the most beautiful beaches in the world, though, right?
Yeah, but I wouldn't.
Australia, South Africa. I would never do it.
I don't think
the
I'm
box
ever gonna...
jellies alone would make me never.
In Australia,
exactly.
Yeah.
I'm never
Australian
going to
waters.
any no.
If you get stung by a box jellyfish in Australia, you have literally 5 minutes to live.
Oh, dude, they have sea snakes, they have saltwater crocodiles, they have great whites, they've got so much stuff that'll kill you.
Literally everything in Australia wants to kill you.
Everything.
It does. On land and in the ocean.
Everything.
Yeah, it's crazy. So no, I'm not in any rush to get there.
The only place where you're okay is in the city, because the people are nice.
But the other thing I wanted to mention, because let's start going chronologically, because there's obviously the Jaws series, but there were other shark movies, and one that I wanted to mention wasn't a shark movie. It was actually a killer whale movie, literally a killer whale movie, Orca. And what was interesting about that, the reason I bring it up, is because one of the things that it did was, it was a murderous orca that took the leg of maybe Adrienne Barbeau, whatever the female at the time that was huge in it. She was in a cast, and the orca took the leg in the cast at one point in the movie. It was Gregory Peck. I think as well, which was interesting because of the whole Moby Dick of it,
which is, it mushed that together with Jaws pretty much.
Well, exactly, that's what it was. But what was interesting was they tried to make the orca scary compared to Jaws at the very beginning, because there's a great white shark that's about to attack someone, and then the orca attacks the shark, hits it, rams it from the side, and literally launches the great white shark out of the water, and it flails and falls back in, and the orca kills it. And so you're supposed to see this orca is monstrous and murderous, But it's also interesting as a shark fan. And someone scared of sharks, it like tried to make sharks look like pussies, you know, for the first time. So that was interesting, and I just had to mention it because it had to do with sharks. But Fuego, should we get into some of the B shark movies, or should we get into Deep Blue Sea next?
Well, I was definitely going to get into Deep Blue Sea after I mentioned my little bit of shark history and the fact that I saw as a very young kid a National Geographic VHS. Anybody remember VHS tapes and stuff? Yeah, I used to check.
Was it a Shark Week VHS?
It was a National Geographic just compilation of shark stuff.
Nice.
And I knew very early on, as I know you and I bonded about, that dinosaurs and sharks were the two things I was most fascinated by, and they were like two of the oldest creatures. I mean, there are dinosaur era sharks. They were pretty much around when sharks were alive before they got extinct.
Oh, sharks are some of the oldest living creatures on the absolute planet.
On the entire planet. Yep, they've been around that flipping long, which is crazy.
A lot of them survived, the Ice Age and stuff. Like, it's crazy.
Yep, cold-blooded bastards. That's what they are. But so I was watching this National Geographic video, and it cut into popular culture obsession with sharks and how Jaws just poured, blood into the water, basically, for that to just really go insane. And the scene that they showed from Jaws, the very first one, was of the young boy, which was about the same age as me at the time. Like,
Kidner boy.
Yeah, 7, 8, whatever the hell he was, going out and getting chowed to bits. Even after I watched Jaws years later, nothing messes with me more than that kid getting eaten, because of the fact that could have been me. The woman at the beginning is scary and effed up and whatever. The woman on the banana boat that you mentioned later on, the beginning of Jaws' Revenge, but nothing got me like the kid when it could have been me.
See,
and I got so scared when I learned about bull sharks being in fresh water and stuff.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even go in lakes and rivers, man. And I have phobias about going into water where I can't see what's below me. Yep. And that's why I don't swim in lakes and rivers. I think it's scary. There's big old catfish,
you know what?
diseases.
And I swam. I did
cabin fever, man.
I did an attempt at water skiing in Coronado Bay, and everyone's like, "It's a bay. There's nothing in there." And I'm like, "Okay." And then I thought about it. I'm like, the bay is connected to the freaking Pacific Ocean that lines California's coast. The bay is just an inlet from the ocean. The bay does not keep anything from the ocean out.
There's a reason why bull sharks
welcomes anything
attacks.
from the ocean in. No. What kind of bullshit are you trying to sell me, Mom and Dad?
Bull shark.
Yeah.
Exactly.
What kind of bull shark are you trying to sell me? So no, I got in the water once. It occurred to me while I waited for them to take up the slack of the freaking rope, right? Because I get in the water right next to the boat, and then the boat's got to cruise a good 50 feet away from me to take up the slack, and then they're like, okay, here we go.
Are you ready?
Got it. And I'm like, okay, I'm up, I'm down. Get me back in the boat. I am not going to sit in the water all day waiting to attempt to fall in the water again. No, I went up, I went down, I went back in the boat. And I still, to this day, think of that and think of all the stuff that was probably below me, and I still can get, like, very pissy pants about it. Like,
it makes my skin crawl just thinking about it.
Oh, it absolutely does. And even though I ended up wanting and getting my open water scuba license later, like, I love scuba diving. And I want to see a shark while scuba diving now. I do. I don't want to see a shark, like, sneaking up on me to try and make me a meal, but I would love to see a shark swimming by like that. I saw a real baby nurse shark once on a night dive. And
those only attack people more unintentionally than...
Nurse sharks never attack anyone. No, nurse sharks don't have the teeth for it. Nurse sharks are the bottom feeders.
Which ones am I thinking of then?
It could be bull sharks, white sharks, bull sharks, white tips, gray reefs.
We've got hammerheads, we've got blue sharks, we've got makos, we have
blue sharks.
Blue sharks definitely attack
blue
people.
Sharks
That's
are the
actually
open ocean sharks. Yep,
right. Most of those with the sheet mail where they're like biting them as with blue sharks.
Blue sharks.
They're
the open ocean bastards. They're just like piranha. Those are like disposing sharks. Anyway, getting way sidetracked again.
Indeed, it happens to us.
But a lot of those early shark. There was a lot of other ones too. There was one just called Shark or something like that.
Well, there was a lot of copycats after Jaws 70s, came out.
Right, exactly. But none of them hit home. So
until for me, the one that I wanted to chime in on.
Please.
So after years of nightmares about sharks and being scared of the water and all this other craziness, having dreams about the pool where I took dive team and swim team at, imagining sharks and piranhas and all kinds of crazy creatures in that. In my friend's pool growing up, I would have these nightmares about...
If you swam at night, it was way easier to imagine terrible stuff.
Oh, well, I had an overactive imagination to boot, so it sucked for that. But
Me too.
I still remember sneaking in... I think I wasn't quite 17. I was maybe like 14 or 15 when Deep Blue Sea came out. But that was the first awesome shark movie that I had seen and that I remembered since Jaws, pretty much. Deep Blue Sea, especially for the very infamous Samuel L. Jackson exit from the film. Spoiler! No, it was great, though. It had an excellent cast. It had Michael Rappaport. It had Thomas Jane. It had some...
Scary sharks.
Yes, LL Cool J was in it. He even did a little rap about sharks at the end.
Deepest, bluest, my head is like a shark's fin.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, man. It was definitely very cheesy, late 90s
Well, not only that, but it was cool because
so bloody
every
great.
shark that died in the way that the shark died at the end of each Jaws movie. So the first shark died in the way that the first shark died in Jaws 1. The second shark died in the way that the second shark died in Jaws 2.
I did not realize that, really?
Yep.
Oh my
Exactly.
gosh.
The third shark got blown up, just like in... Because remember, the first shark... So, what happened in Jaws 1?
Total tribute. I had no idea.
Jaws 1
Same.
was... So, the first shark that dies is the oven shark, right? LL Cool J blows it up in the oven. That's either 1 or 3.
I have no
The second
I
shark...
want to say that's 3, though, because it's later in the movie.
Right.
Where
So,
because it's in the
that's
kitchen
3.
where it's half
that's
flooded.
3, because
Yeah,
that's
where
what
it's
happened
flooded,
in the
yeah.
thing. Remember, it was the same exact thing. They pull the pin of the grenade
At
in the end
SeaWorld,
of 3,
yeah.
and it blows them up. Jaws 2 was the electrocution, and Saffron Burrows gets up on her wetsuit and electrocutes the shark in the second. So that's the second shark.
What happens with her is one of my favorite parts of the movie.
And then how does the last shark die? Don't they run it through with something at the end, just like Jaws 4? Don't they?
Well, it's after it eats the character that you just mentioned.
Right, Saffron, yep.
Yeah, which is one of my favorite parts of that whole movie because I still remember sitting in theaters and saying, as the shark approached her and then kind of held back a little bit, I said to my friend who was seated right beside me, if that shark doesn't eat her, this movie is bullshit. And then sure enough, it swam back and got at it. But no, I can't remember what happened, how Thomas Jane and because LL is wounded by that point.
It in the eye.
Yeah.
No, yeah, they don't they shoot it with
harpoon thing?
like a what do they call those?
Harpoon.
Harpoon, right? And that they electrocute it and it blows up the shark or something like that.
Possibly. I think it needs a rewatch for
I
me.
think it might need a rewatch too.
Honestly, the biggest thing that pissed me off about that movie was that shark didn't win.
I know
Really?
it should
The
have.
shark should have fucking won.
Well, and it should have just swam and jumped over it. There
like,
should have been one that
seriously,
just
Well, that's
that
what
they
you
thought
kinda
they
thought
killed,
about
and
it.
it
Sharks were
swam
so
and just jumps at the very end. and
freaking
goes over it.
smart, and the humans were so stupid.
But the sharks looked crazy, and what was interesting was they went with makos. They did not go with great whites. They went with mako sharks, which are widely
faster.
known to be the fastest. Yeah. Some of the fastest sharks. I think threshers might be a little faster, but I think makos. No. You know what? Makos are the fastest, I believe.
Because I know threshers have that.
Threshers have that big
top
tail that are crazy. That'll f you up. But makos are the fastest, and makos launch out of the sky. Like I remember, I have some shark books up on the bookshelf behind you actually that show some makos jumping, like some artist renditions, some painters showing a mako jumping out to get birds and stuff.
All I see is a bunch of Meg books.
Makos breach all the time. Like makos they're so fast and they
jump out
get
of
their
the water.
stuff. Yeah, they'll grab a fish at the surface and launch out, and they get so high, like it's crazy. Anyway. So mako sharks were the bad guy in Deep Blue Sea, and then
very good shark movie. Maybe
but,
the best.
But what was interesting is after that we started to see a lot of B shark movies come out.
Oh boy, tons of them.
And not only that, but what was really interesting was around that time the very first Steve Alton book called Meg came out.
97. Yeah.
1997 is when Meg came out, and what we started to see over the course of the next few years was Shark Attack 3, Megalodon. You saw a movie just called Megalodon. You saw all these different straight to DVD movies.
Mega Shark versus Giant Octopus.
Mega Shark versus Giant Octopus. Like you saw all these different
Crocosaurus,
giant megalodon movies appear, but they were all done with such crappy budgets because Carcharodon megalodon was a real thing. Imagine a great white shark only 3 times the size of Jaws, you know, and that's only if the fossilized teeth that we do find are from the front rows. If the giant 6-inch fossilized teeth are from the back replacement rows from some megalodons, then those sharks can be upwards of 100 feet long. Like, imagine a 100-foot great white shark when Jaws was 25, which was already exaggerated. The largest we've ever actually seen is like 22.
18, 20,
no, it's like 20, 21 or 22.
Okay. Yeah.
I know we hit the 20s on a regular basis at this point, but I think the largest was 22. But anyway, again, one of these could have been 4 times that size. So if you imagine that, it could swallow a school bus whole. You see pictures on the internet of, if you just look up Megalodon Jaws, you'll see, you know, pictures at SeaWorld, or, you know, different. You can just Google image search.
Dude,
and you'll
I still
see
remember the
8
one.
people standing, not, you know, they're standing in 2 rows, full height.
Well, I was
giant
gonna say,
jaw thing.
The giant jaw. That's a megalodon. Did you not realize that?
No, I remember we take pictures with that all the time.
That's a megalodon. That's what that was.
Yeah, there was one at the
okay. Yeah, because
Natural History
Brittini lived
Museum
in
in
Southern
New York
California
City.
for a while, so that's what a megalodon is. Those jaws.
Yeah, I know. I remember that thing was freaking gigantic.
Can you imagine that in real life being attached to a great white shark?
No, yeah, no. I remember just like.
And it's touched on in the Meg books, which we need to get to the Meg movie that's going to be coming out.
Oh yeah, that'll probably be the last thing.
But the Meg books emphasize the fact that if a shark is swimming up on you that size and it opens its mouth, the opening of the mouth creates a vacuum effect that sucks you right in. Like, even if it's just wandering up to you, if it opens its mouth, you're done. You cannot escape. And it
so horrible.
It pulps you. He clamps once and he pulps you, and you're being pulverized by 6 by 3 inch, 6 inches long, 3 inches wide, 2 inches deep fangs, rows upon rows of these.
I was going to say,
biting into you.
10, something crazy like that.
What's that?
I was like 6 rows, 8 rows, something crazy.
Oh,
like
no,
that.
it's about 6 rows on bottom. It's usually just I think it's a couple of rows on top too, but it's really just more prominently the one on top. But yeah, the ones on bottom shift in all the time, and if you can just imagine, you just are engulfed by darkness. And I can't wait for you to read these books, Fuego, because the ways he describes, like, there's a guy that falls in the water, is about to face the Meg. I can't remember which of the 6 books it's in at this point, but he stares down the Meg as it's swimming towards him, and he says, rather than face the consequences, he just opens his mouth and takes the biggest breath he possibly can. He just tries to drown himself before he can get eaten by this thing. Like, that's your alternative. You're either going to get eaten by the biggest thing, the biggest predator in history, or you can try and drown yourself before it happens.
And still be eaten,
but just not be aware of it.
Yeah.
What do you choose?
I
go with
I've made that decision. I've made that decision. I made that decision not with a shark, with the zombies.
Oh, really? You just take the easy way out with a shotgun?
I totally,
That's a Kevin Smith way out.
I totally put that gun in my mouth and pulled the trigger, man.
No way.
I did.
I would do it if it was my last bullet.
No, I did it. I don't know if it was my last bullet or not. Are you
talking about a game?
No, it was a dream.
I was wondering that too.
Okay.
I literally did this to myself. Sorry. I didn't mean to be so loud. No,
At least you can hear it.
She did this to herself!
I literally, no, I did. Sorry to get off topic of sharks, but I did.
No, it's getting eaten. It's all relative.
Yeah, no, I was looking at a wall of hundreds of zombies coming straight at me, and I have a gun that has a maximum of 15 bullets. So
I still take 14 shots at the zombies.
What if it had 13? What if it had 14 bullets?
I keep good track of that.
You're in a dream where you have no idea how many bullets are in this gun. What do you do?
If it jams, I literally reach up and I snap my own neck.
Oh yeah, like what the fuck ever, man.
I would absolutely.
I'm looking at this gun in my hand and this wall of zombies coming at me, going, "They're gonna eat me either fucking way."
People crack their own necks all the time, and I don't know how they do it. If they can do that, I can push just a little bit further.
You can't break your neck that way.
I think you can.
No, you can't. You have to back like that.
Really? You can't just keep spinning it?
No.
Sure you can. No, really?
It's
that's just a movie
practically
thing?
Impossible. Yeah.
Right.
Maybe very difficult.
Let's circle back to sharks. Fuego, put us back on track, please.
Anyways, yeah. All right.
Yeah, so in the aftermath, there was a lot of crazy bad B movies that came out that, you were touching on briefly, man. We will wait to get to Sharknado. I mean, dude, there was stuff like Dino Shark. It was good and bad.
Dino Shark versus Croczilla. That's one. Remember,
yeah. The Reef is actually an Australian one that I've not seen, but I've heard good things about.
The Reef is great.
Yeah, that's one that I've not seen, and it came up in our research.
The Reef was what Open Water 2 tried to do. No, The Reef was really, really excellent. I put that up with Bait.
Australian movie. Yep, Bait is another Australian.
The Reef is literally just it's a boat of people that capsize, and they are going to try and swim for some land that they drift by, but there's a great white shark that knows that there's food on board, and it won't leave them alone, and it was amazing. I love The Reef. The Reef is excellent. That movie's so good. I need to rewatch that. Excellent.
Yeah, I thought Bait was excellent too, and that's basically where a tsunami, if I remember correctly, hits. And yes, Bait was great. But a tsunami hits an area of Australia and
floods a supermarket.
Exactly.
And the parking garage beneath it.
And so everybody's jumping up on top of all the aisles, trying to survive.
And there's a great white shark loose in the supermarket, and a great white shark loose in the parking garage.
Yeah, because they all come with the tsunami.
Areas.
Nice.
And the effects are amazing, and you can tell the budget was limited, but it was so well used. God, I love that movie too. Like, I want to have a Reef Bait.
You guys are going to expand my shark viewing.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I'll force
shark
those on you.
Good.
Yeah, those are great. Yeah. We need to have a Reef Bait night.
Now, I'm suddenly thinking,
this is starting to sound a little weird.
What was one that we did, if I'm not mistaken, for Kings of Horror? Was it Jurassic Shark?
Jurassic Shark. Okay. Oh, man. Yep, that was definitely one of those.
That was a pretty good title, though.
Cash-in movies. No, I mean, there have been so many. They did Ghost Shark.
That's on my list here.
They did Sand Sharks.
That's another one.
Which was great. Which had Brooke Hogan in it, Hulk Hogan's daughter.
Yeah, there was the Jersey Shore Shark Attack. The
Jersey Shore Shark Attack with actual Jersey Shore people. There was, of course, Robo Shark, directed by our friend Jeffrey Landau.
And, honestly, we have to circle back at this point, to use a shark analogy there, to what really set this trend off and made it crazy big was probably the Sci-Fi Channel series, if I'm not mistaken.
The Sci-Fi Channel series of Sharknado?
Exactly, because they've done four of them at this point.
That
is the benchmark for cheesy, laughably bad, but entertaining shark movies, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And, there's something that might be said for, it might be worth mentioning that show Surface for helping propagate the sea creature thing, because...
Was that a Benchley show?
No, that was White Shark. That is actually really good. No, they called that Creature.
Okay.
That was a limited series called Creature that was based on Peter Benchley's White Shark, which was about a great white shark. It was about a military experiment. There was a great white shark that was meant to be amphibious.
It was not very good.
But it gets let loose, and it does claw its way out of the ocean and starts to try and attack people on land. So the idea is sound, but it's just clumsy execution.
Well, especially with TV miniseries budget.
Creature was really awful. Bad. But Benchley was all about that. He did Beast, the giant squid one.
I remember watching that one too.
Yeah, Beast was great.
That one fared a little bit better. Because most of the stuff was like undersea tentacle practical coming up.
But then there was another book that I read about the same time as Meg that actually came out by Charles Wilson that was called Extinct. Is that up there as well for you? That would be on the paperback shelf, so maybe down towards the bottom shelf. Look down there if there's Extinct down there. but it was an excellent.
Excellent.
It was an excellent Megalodon book where that had
on the bottom.
Yeah, that had a giant Megalodon that was attacking people. It was going up rivers and attacking people up rivers. And then, but that was like a 60-foot Megalodon. And then at the very end, you think that Megalodon is dead, but then at the very end, it's here, Fuego, hand me that book. Let me just read the last sentence of this book. Again, it's written by Charles Wilson. And it says coming to NBC TV on this book that I have. It's got a John Grisham blurb at the very beginning of it.
And a cover that looks just like Jaws.
Fuego, I'm going to give this to you, actually. You should read it. But so this says, okay.
Back out of about the author.
That took some crawling, guys.
In the last chapter.
If I got to the very end and then I just couldn't
I'm
figure
gonna
out
let
what
you
was
read
going
the
on.
entire book, everything except the last page.
Well, anyway, I don't remember exactly how it goes out, but I know that the line is, there's a sea captain that thinks he sees something in the water, and then he looks up and he thinks he sees this massive shadow in the water, and he's like, "What the hell is that?" And then and he looks up and he sees there's a cloud crossing in front of the sun just then. That's like this massive cloud. And he's like, "Oh, okay." And he turns and walks back into the ship. And then it says, a few feet below the surface, the gigantic shadow changes direction abruptly and heads west. And that's how it ended. And I was like, "Oh, damn!" It was it said like this 100-foot shadow. It was saying that it was a 100-foot megalodon. And even in Meg, the sharks never get bigger than like 60, 70 feet. So the 100-foot megalodon is like
the biggest we've ever seen in a novel.
It's great. It's so awesome. So
that is awesome.
Yeah, I recommend Extinct as well. But anyway,
yeah, so you have a good head on this. Prehistoric crazy shark literature, sir.
Oh my god, dude! I know so much about megalodons. It's ridiculous.
Oh.
Anyway, so do we have any others on the list there?
Well, the only thing that I wanted to mention is that sharks have become so in vogue and popular. The fact that we could have an animated film like Shark Tale, of all things.
Well, not only that, but actually even before Shark Tale was Finding Nemo.
Yeah.
Where we had Bruce, the Australian shark that was trying to... he had a support group
of
other sharks that was saying... Fish are friends, not food.
Yep, exactly.
And so the first time we see him, it's just this gigantic great white shark going, "Oh."
And that paved the way for Shark Tale.
So creepy, like that,
Well, that's the thing, because he was so
hangs around
nice.
the high school looking for 18-year-old high school girls.
Well, yeah, I still remember watching that for the first time, mind you, on psychedelic mushrooms, and that part scared the living crap out of me.
Oh, absolutely, because he swims up to them, he's like, and he's like,
hello.
He like jokes with them, and then takes them to the support group, and then remember one of them gets hurt, and the blood floats up into his nose, and he goes crazy, yeah.
They tell me that wasn't a bug reference right there.
and so I think that's where Shark Tale came from, which Shark Tale was, of course, a Will Smith vehicle with Jack Black as well, right?
Yep, it was, and he was like the mobster's son who was like not ready to be
a shark
part of the
that
family.
Didn't want to be a shark. Like it was
didn't want to be ruthless and brutal,
but so much less interesting.
It was not that good.
It was terrible. It was terrible. It was terrible.
I thought Will Smith was a liar and he said that he'd killed the shark.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
because he and Jack Black worked together.
Oh, okay, that's what it was. That's
he basically was Shark Slayer, and it was terrible.
It was ridiculous.
Terrible.
But that popularity, to bring us up to speed, gets us to last year's what a lot of people considered the best shark movie since Jaws. And I know it was in your tops for the year, right?
It was my number one movie of the year, I think, and that was The Shallows with Blake Lively, because this is
Deadpool.
Oh my god, it was so good. It was what I like it better than Jaws at this point, because
wow.
I just do as far as a scary shark movie goes, because Jaws is from 1975, so it's all these years old at this point. It's over 40 years old. It just doesn't. the shark doesn't hold up as scary anymore. There's a couple it busting through the ship is scary, and it coming onto the ship is scary, but otherwise it's just not scary. It doesn't move like a shark. You never see it below the water.
Well, yeah, and there was also a lot of tension built on convenience in the original Jaws, and the fact that the shark
wouldn't work, so they had to keep, they had to build tension without it. Exactly. The Shallows didn't have to do that. The shark was entirely computer generated in this movie, and
looks fantastic.
It was
but they
so
also did
excellent.
build tension without the shark being there.
They did
a lot.
But then they showed a breach attack, which was never it never happened once in a Jaws movie. The breach attack, so it showed it breach on a surfer. It showed it chomp a thief in half.
Which was rad.
Which was awesome.
So awesome.
And then it showed it, face down Blake Lively at the end, and I loved, again, it was a little over the top how it got dispatched at the end, but swimming after her and almost catching her, and she got yanked out of the way as it impales itself on all these, rebar and stuff on the bottom of the ocean. Like, it was just so awesome. I just loved the hell out of it. It was scary, and again, I got to go back to how much I loved watching Fuego watch the movie, because he jumped everywhere I jumped. There was a part where the shark comes out at her and almost gets stuck on the rocks that she's hiding from it on. So it shows that even on the rocks, you're not fully safe from this thing.
No, it looked so real. Such fantastic CGI, man. I mean, I was wowed by it. Brittany, what did you think of it?
It was really it had those really good scary moments that I jumped more than a few times, and I don't think I'm nearly as scared of sharks as you guys are. but no, it was really good. It had me on the edge of my seat. It was beautifully shot. I love all the scenes
so
of the
gorgeous,
water
the
and
cinematography.
that beach is just
amazing.
It's amazing.
Yeah, when it comes to sharks, I'm just a big old chicken of the sea, y'all. It's pretty embarrassing.
How can you miss out on that beauty? It's just it's
well, and that's part of why I like scuba diving, because
it's too gorgeous not to take on the risk.
Less than 5% of the people on the planet get to see what's under the ocean for themselves,
and we'll never know what all dwells below the surface.
Well, not well below, no, but we can see a glimpse of the world as scuba divers, and it's frankly, almost had it.
You're making it contagious, bro.
It's just unbelievable how awesome it is down there, and you just know when you're seeing these things, you're seeing things that so few people on the planet have seen in real life. Yeah, a lot of people have seen Discovery Channel, a lot of people have seen Shark Week, but no one's actually seen or felt these things. I held a puffer fish in my hands. It's crazy. And it's just, I'll always love the ocean as a result of that. So it's always going to be this weird dichotomy, but I'm going to stay out of the water at dawn and dusk for sure, because that always attracts sharks. That is their feeding time. So don't surf during dawn or dusk.
Yeah, they say that's the worst.
The worst time. I will rather not go into the ocean at night, because then I can't see crap. So I think I'm just going to stick to an all-around avoidance of sharks. I'm going to never go to swim anywhere near San Francisco or the Farallon Islands, which is known as shark territory, the Red Triangle, as a matter of fact. I've read The Devil's Teeth, which is a frightening tale of a reporter that went to study the Farallon Islands and the great white sharks around, and there was actually a story of a guy that was a wakeboarder, I believe, that was being towed, and they towed him into territory in the months. There's about 3 months where it's basically great white hunting ground all the time, and the guy fell off the wakeboard, as he does at any point, and when he went over, when he went he went under the water, he looked down and he just saw dozens of great white sharks down below him, and he lived to tell about it. Oh yeah, no, he got pulled away in time, But it's an image that has scared me. And I might be, maybe it was just a few that he saw or whatever. But in my mind, when I heard that story, it scared the crap out of me, and I'm just imagining dozens, just swimming in and out of each other below you, and you're like, like that is my worst nightmare, 100%. So, anyway, that might wrap it for me. What else do we got for you?
Yeah, well, we're just at the tail end here, and the fact that sharks that we don't necessarily want to avoid. There's two I'm especially intrigued about. We've got Cage Dive that you and I did a trailer reaction for. It's almost like Australian once again.
Is that 47 meters down?
No, that was actually the original title of 47 meters down at some point, I believe. But this is the one that was the Australian reality show. Remember where they had something that happened when they were filming out on the boat and they get stranded. We did a trailer reaction for it. And then 47 Meters Down is the one that has Mandy Moore in it and was actually, after the success of The Shallows, pushed from being VOD this fall to being theatrical next summer.
Right.
So we're going to get to see that in theaters, which, I mean, reviews that we saw were good before it got snatched up, and they're trying to make some more money off of it.
And then after that, in 2018, we've got the biggest thing, which is, of course, the first big screen adaptation of Steve Alten's Meg.
March 2nd.
Which is the book I told you guys about.
2018.
I got the first book in 1997. I've gotten every book since. I interviewed Steve Alten on the channel, so look that up because it was really awesome, and he's an awesome guy, and the books are great, and despite the fact that they cast Jason Statham as Jonas Taylor, I'm excited to see what they do with the movie because they're putting a lot of money. It's like $150 million budget movie or something like that.
And John Turteltaub has done big budget with National Treasure before. I mean, I would have probably preferred Eli Roth,
wanted. I cannot wait.
I know Eli Roth wanted to do it a little gorier, a little crazier, and they were trying to rein it in and make it more PG-13.
If they bring it back to PG-13, it's going to be a bummer, but whatever. I'll still take it.
They're trying to make money.
There's not going to need to be that much gore considering how big it is.
Yeah. When you were mentioning the sucking in aspect, I mean, that's how they could totally forgo a lot of blood and guts and stuff that warrants an R rating.
Absolutely. So, Brittany, any final thoughts on sharks or the shark genre, or are you looking to go pet sharks at a petting zoo somewhere?
Oh, you guys have never done that? Pet the little tiny
I
sharks
have.
At the that's
fun.
Really cool. Yeah, you pet the sharks.
Yeah, it's like the little dogfish sharks. And
yeah.
And
you go in the little tunnel and look at all the sharks.
And you can go the other direction.
I would swim with a whale
stingrays
shark.
in there with them.
I've wanted to swim with a whale shark for a while. I'm jealous of people that have been able to do that. That'd be awesome.
I saw that on those Nat Geo videos, dude. I was like, wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
Nice. No,
they're massive.
Yeah, basking sharks are the only ones that are... Right?
Basking sharks aren't bigger than whale sharks. Whale sharks are the biggest
the only
sharks.
ones that are almost as big as them.
Yeah, basking sharks are the second
Swim around
biggest.
sucking in plankton. And...
Yep, and they weren't even discovered until like 1972. Like a basking shark was not known to exist until either the 60s or the 70s.
Crazy.
That's what's so interesting. We know more about outer space than we know about our very own ocean.
That's what I was implying about the well
so
beneath
much
and everything.
That we can't explore because of the crushing pressure of the ocean. So it's so interesting to think of what we don't know. So crazy.
Man, I can't wait till we can do a creature podcast and talk about Deep Star 6.
Oh, I need to rewatch that. I need to rewatch a lot of creature movies for that. I'm going to be doing if I get cast on this thing, we won't say what, but if I do, I'm going to have to do a lot of brushing up to make sure I'm good to go knowledge-wise. So, anyway, I think that's a good place to call it for our Shark Cast.
Shark!
Thank you very much for listening, you guys. I've been Cecil Laird.
I'm Brittany Lee.
Gracias, I've been Jaime and Fuego. And, dude, I want us to do a dinosaur podcast next at some point.
We can do that, too.
I would love to do that.
We can talk about Jurassic Park, Carnosaur, all those good stuff. So, all right, thanks very much, and we'll talk to you guys later. Remember, stay scared.
Shark!
Shark.